This class is brought to you by the LA Care and Blue Shield Promise Community Resource Centers. The centers are a place to help you be active, healthy, and informed. We hope you enjoy this virtual class.
Hello, my name is Sonia Guzman. Today we will be talking about cravings. We're going to focus on what cravings are, what causes them, and also on some ways to overcome them, some solutions. And then we're going to be making some oat peanut butter bites. And these are to help us whenever we have a craving for something sweet. This is an alternative snack that we can have that is actually healthy for us and can help us beat those cravings. So let's go ahead and start by talking about cravings. Cravings, usually there's going to be, or there are, 4 main types of cravings that most people have. And those cravings are either for refined carbohydrates, for sweets, for salty foods, or for something that has fat in it. Cravings usually last 3 to 5 minutes, and they can sometimes be selective and sometimes be non-selective. So what that means is that sometimes cravings are going to be for very specific foods. You know, we tend to say, oh, I have a craving, for, pizza, or I have a craving for chocolate. So that's a selective craving. And non-selective cravings, it's when we just have a craving for something. We just feel like eating something. And that's actually one of the ways that we can tell when something is a craving versus hunger. Because when it's a craving, it's just something that, we feel like eating something. It meets a certain need. Usually that need is going to be like something to make me feel good, right? That's what a craving fulfills. It's that need to feel good. It's a comfort. Whereas food is more of something that comes from the stomach. It's this feeling, this emptiness. Your body tells you that you're hungry. Maybe you even feel tired, maybe even a little bit confused because now you're starting to feel this hunger that you need to satisfy. So cravings are very specific, and it's important to understand this difference because when we have cravings, that's the way that we are going to be able to come up with our own solutions. It's understanding where the cravings come from and what they are so that when we have them, we're able to control them in a healthy way, right? Not so much give in to them, but actually come up with a healthier alternative. And then lastly, the other thing that we can do to help us beat these cravings is to find healthier alternatives. So for example, if I have a craving for chips, maybe it's just that crunch that I'm craving or that saltiness, right? So I can, instead of having chips, I could have cashews or I could have some sort of nuts, right? Like a walnut. If I am craving milk chocolate, maybe I can have dark chocolate instead. If I am craving candy, find a whole fruit that's really sweet that'll help you satisfy that craving. If I am craving soda, I could have sparkling water with lime or with some strawberries or some sort of fruit in there, right? To make it more appealing, perhaps. So try to find healthier options so that you don't give into the unhealthy craving, but you somehow satisfy that craving and your brain, your mind is okay. You can continue with your day, okay? So now that we've talked about cravings, we talked about where they come from and some solutions on how to beat them. Let's go ahead and move on to our recipe. And as I stated earlier, our recipe is going to help us when we have cravings for something sweet. So we are going to make oat peanut butter bites. And these are the ingredients that go into these little bites, and they're very easy to make. Now I have here honey and I have agave. We're not going to be using both. I have them both just so you can see that you can choose either one. Okay, if you want to use honey, you can go ahead and use honey, and if you want to use agave, you can go ahead and use agave instead. I have the peanut butter here. This one is a nutty peanut butter, but you can also use smooth peanut butter, whichever kind you'd like. Now this is a natural peanut butter, so I want to make sure that I show this to you to just really remind you when you go shopping for peanut butter, make sure that you get peanut butter that is all natural, and also make sure that you read the ingredients. because you're gonna find that there will be peanut butters out there that say that they're all natural, but when you read the ingredients, they have all these other ingredients that are really not. So make sure that not only that it says all natural, but that you read the ingredients as well. The only ingredient that you want to see on there is peanuts, and maybe it'll say that it has a little bit of salt, but that is it, okay? Nothing that you can't read or that you don't understand. The other ingredient in our bite is shredded coconut. So this one is unsweetened. So we want to make sure that we always use unsweetened so that it doesn't have any added sugar. And then our last ingredient is going to be oats. You can use, again, whichever brand you'd like, but we want to make sure that they are old-fashioned oats, not the instant kind, but the old-fashioned. And the recipe will actually be provided at the end of this video, so you don't have to worry about writing things down right now in terms of how much I use of each ingredient. So I'm going to go ahead and move these over to the side. I'm going to bring my bowl here in front of me so that I can add all of my ingredients. So let me first put on my gloves. Okay. There we go. Okay, now I had a little bit of the smooth peanut butter, which I already put into my measuring cup. So I'm going to start with that. We need 1/3 of a cup of peanut butter. So I have that here already. This is 1/3 of a cup of peanut butter. So I'm going to put this into my bowl. And then the second ingredient that I'm going to put into the bowl is going to be whichever sweetener I choose. So either the honey or the agave. I'm going to go ahead and use the agave. I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of agave. That's 1. And 2. And 3. Now what I'm going to do next, I am going to go ahead and mix these 2 ingredients. And so this is going to be like my glue. It's what is going to be making everything stick together, okay? So first I mix this. See, very easy. Once it's all mixed, I'll show you. Just makes the peanut butter just a bit runnier. So once all of that is mixed, then I can just go ahead and add my other 2 ingredients. And the other 2 ingredients are just the coconut and the oats. Now, if you want to, you can also add other things to this, like, what are they called? Like raisins. You can add nuts. If you tend to get a lot of cravings for, like, say, something that is both salty and sweet, you can add salted nuts, walnuts, cashews, almonds, anything really that you want to add to these. It's pretty good. And they're very easy to make. And if you put this in the oven, you can actually make cereal with it as well. I've done both and they're both delicious. Okay, now I am going to add 1/4 of a cup, so 1/4 of a cup of the shredded coconut. So there's that. And then the last ingredient is going to be 1.5 cups of the oats. Here's my half. And my cup. Okay. So close that. Now I just need to mix it all together. You can do this with a spatula. Sometimes it's easier to do it by hand. Either one. This can also be a fun snack for kids to make. Kids love making things with their hands. And we actually are going to be using our hands to make our little bites. So you can mix it with your hand if you would like to. Okay, so once it's all mixed together, I will show you what that looks like in a little bit. Okay, so now it looks like this. It's all mixed together. Okay, now we can go ahead and start using our hands to make little balls with our mixture. Okay, so I'm going to put this over here on the side. Just take a small portion, and then you start making little balls with it. And you can make them any size that you'd like. So I will show you a few of them. And then what we're gonna do after is once we make them, then we put them in the refrigerator because we want them to set. So there's one, for example, okay? See, this can be really, really fun for the kids. Just put it all together. I'm going to finish these and I will come back once I'm done to show you then what we're going to do. Okay, so we're now at our last bite, and if you notice, they're a pretty good size, so you can have these as a snack. They're pretty satisfying. So they have the peanut butter, they have the oats, and then the sweetener and the coconut. Both the oats and the peanut butter have a lot of fiber. The fiber is going to help us, helps our digestive system. It helps us to feel satisfied, so we're going to be feeling full longer. And it also helps us with different lifestyle diseases such as diabetes, high blood pressure. So this is actually not only a snack that helps us to beat a craving, but it's also a snack that's actually really good for us. What we're going to do next is we're actually going to put these now in the refrigerator. And what we want to do is we want to let them sit in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes or so. That way they can set, they firm up a little bit, and then we're able to eat them without them falling apart when we take that first bite. So we're gonna go ahead and do that in a bit. Before we do that though, let's go ahead and review what we talked about today. Today we talked about cravings. We talked about where cravings come from, what causes them. We talked about how to solve them, different solutions, right, that we came up with to beat cravings, and even to, not just to beat them, but also to identify them, truly find out where are they coming from so that we can do something about them to help us not have them in the future. We also talked about things like water, how much water we need, how a lack of water can also be one of the causes of cravings, and the importance, right, of making sure that we drink enough water, and not only whatever our recommendation is, but even more than a recommendation if we tend to be people that, you know, that play a lot of sports, exercise, drink a lot of coffee, anything really that makes us lose water from our bodies, okay? We talked about the 4 different kinds of cravings, the main ones, right? Salty, carbohydrates, sugar, and fat. And that they usually will last about 3 to 5 minutes. How can we beat them in those 3 to 5 minutes? Meditation, walking, even Tai Chi, really trying to follow a healthy diet. Little techniques, right? We spoke about to beat cravings, to help us control them. And finally, we went ahead and made our oat peanut butter bites. These bites, we used agave, but you can use agave or you can use honey. And we actually use peanut butter, but you can use any kind of nut butter that you would like if peanut butter is not what you prefer. So I hope that this information is helpful to you. If you tend to have a lot of cravings for sweets, try these. I promise you will not regret it. Thank you so much for joining me. We look forward to seeing you virtually again next week and at one of our research centers as soon as we can. Until then, stay active, healthy, and informed. Bye.